If you want to read along with Ms. Mo, this story has pages you can follow. Just check the description below so that we can do it together. Hi friends, it's Ms. Mo, and I'm trying out something new. I'm a little bit technically challenged, and luckily for me, I have a daughter, Lindsay, who did all the animation and whatnot, where you see my little pudding in the background, playing with the TV remote. And so I'm just good at doing voices and reading stories because I love to read stories. But my girl, Lindsay, she's the one who does all the stuff for me. So here I am trying it out. And I'm trying it out on the true story of the Three Little Pigs by A. Wolf. Get it? By A. Wolf, like the wolf is telling the story, as told to Jon Scieszka and illustrated by Lane Smith. Now notice how I stress Scieszka, because I don't know if you remember, those of you who followed me when I read Frank Einstein and the Antimatter Motor, written by Jon Scieszka. And then I found out later that I really mispronounced his name and I was so embarrassed. And I said, oop, have to correct that. So here he is again, Jon Scieszka. This guy's awesome because I really like the way he writes stories. So I hope you like this one as much as I do. I mean, I like the Three Little Pigs, and I don't know what the true story means, but we're going to find out from A. Wolf how it really happened and not from the perspective of the Three Little Pigs. All right, here we go. Let's see. The true story of the Three Little Pigs. 1999. I guess that's the year he decided to write this story. Dear reader, there's obviously been some kind of mistake. It's been 10 years now since I first explained what happened to those three little pigs, but I'm still in the pen. Maybe the warden just hasn't had a chance to look into this whole mess yet. I'm sure everything will be taken care of once he hears my side of the story. I mean, why wouldn't I be set free? I've been a model prisoner. There was that small problem with the cake my granny sent to me. I don't know how a saw got in there. It must have fallen off the tool shelf and into the frosting, like she said. And then there was that confused little girl in the Red Riding Hood. Saw my picture in the paper. Then she made up some tale about me dressing like her granny and scaring her with what big eyes I have and what big teeth I have. Crazy. Would I do something like that? I think the answer to that is in the letters I get from all over the world. Mr. Wolf, you are innocent. Bobby Lobo, Lupin, Texas. Monsieur Wolf, you should be free. L.E. Loop, Paris, France. I don't know what this gentleman said, but he's from Tokyo, Japan. I'm going to assume he thinks I'm free too, and I should be freed. That's it. The true story. 10 years later, straight from the wolf's mouth. So, now that you know, maybe you could put in a good word or two for me? Something like, free a wolf. Free a wolf now. Really. A wolf. That's me. Everybody knows the story of the Three Little Pigs. Or at least they think they do. But I'll let you in on a little secret. Nobody knows the real story because nobody has ever heard my side of the story. I'm the wolf, Alexander T. Wolf. You can call me Al. I don't know how this whole big bad wolf thing got started, but it's all wrong. Maybe it's because of our diet. Hey, it's not my fault wolves eat cute little animals like bunnies and sheep and pigs. That's just the way we are. If cheeseburgers were cute, folks would probably think you were big and bad too. But like I was saying, the whole big bad wolf thing is all wrong. The real story is about a sneeze and a cup of sugar. This is the real story. Way back in Once Upon a Time, I was making a birthday cake for my dear old granny. I had a terrible sneezing cold. I ran out of sugar. So I walked down the street to ask my neighbor for a cup of sugar. Now, this neighbor was a pig, and he wasn't too bright either. He had built his whole house out of straw. Can you believe it? I mean, who in his right mind would build a house of straw? So, of course, the minute I knocked on the door, it fell right in. I didn't want to just walk into someone else's house, so I called, "Little pig, are you in?" No answer. I was just about to go home without the cup of sugar for my dear old granny's birthday cake. That's when my nose started to itch. I felt a sneeze coming on. Well, I huffed, and I snuffed, and I sneezed a great sneeze. And you know what? That whole darn straw fell down, and right in the middle of the pile of straw was the first little pig, dead as a doornail. He had been home the whole time. It seemed like a shame to leave a perfectly good ham dinner lying there in the straw, so I ate him up. Think of it as a big cheeseburger just lying there. I was feeling a little better, but I still didn't have my cup of sugar. So I went to the next neighbor's house. This neighbor was the first little pig's brother. He was a little smarter, but not much. He had built his house of sticks. I rang the bell on the stick house. Nobody answered. I called, "Mr. Pig, Mr. Pig, are you in?" He yelled back, "Go away, Wolf, you can't come in. I'm shaving the hairs on my chinny chin chin." I had just grabbed the doorknob when I felt another sneeze coming on. I huffed and I snuffed. I tried to cover my mouth, but I sneezed a great sneeze. And you're not going to believe it, but this guy's house fell down just like his brother's. Well, the dust cleared. There was the second little pig, dead as a doornail. Wolf's honor. Now, you know how food will spoil if you just leave it out in the open. So I did the only thing there was to do. I had dinner again. Think of it as a second helping. I was getting awfully full. But my cold was feeling a little better. And I still didn't have that cup of sugar for my dear old granny's birthday cake. So, I went to the next house. This guy was the first and second little pig's brother. He must have been the brains of the family, but he had built his house of bricks. I knocked on the brick house. No answer. I called, "Mr. Pig, Mr. Pig, are you in?" And do you know what that rude little porker answered? "Get out of here, Wolf. Don't bother me again." Talk about impolite. He probably had a whole sack full of sugar, and he wouldn't give me even one little cup for my dear sweet old granny's birthday cake. What a pig. I was just about to go home and maybe make a nice birthday card instead of a cake when I felt my cold coming on. I huffed, and I snuffed, and I sneezed again. Then the third little pig yelled, "And your old granny can sit on a pin." Now, I'm usually a pretty calm fellow, but when somebody talks about my granny like that, I go a little crazy. When the cops drove up, of course, I was trying to break down this pig's door, and the whole time I was huffing and puffing and sneezing and making a real scene. The rest, as they say, is history. Look at this. Look at the newspaper. They've got Big Bad Wolf. That's what they're calling me now. A.T. Wolf, big and bad. I am not. Thank you very much. What? That's a terrible picture of me, by the way. The news reporters found out about the two pigs I'd had for dinner. They figured a sick guy going to borrow a cup of sugar didn't sound very exciting. So they jazzed up the whole story with all that huff and puff and blow your house down. And they made me the big bad wolf. That's it. That's the real story. I was framed. But maybe you could loan me a cup of sugar? No? No? That's it, see? Free a wolf. Guilty, I'm not. I'm innocent. Look at what they've written on this wall. Big and bad. I only had a cold and 2 pigs. Rude porker. Can you imagine the things they've written on this wall about me? This is a wolf's fault too. What's a wolf's fault? What are they saying? I'm really a great guy. Yes, and so, as you can see, Lane Smith, she has captured me quite well. I do like the way she's drawn me. I think the spectacles are quite nice. Well, this all happened in 1989 when she drew me the first time, and the second time she drew me in 1999. Anyway, you believe me, don't you? I'm sure you understand how something like that could happen. Hasn't anything like that ever happened to you? I mean, maybe you haven't eaten a friend or two, but... Well, that's not the point. I hope you understand, and that you enjoyed my story, and you'll free a wolf. Goodbye, my friends.